Hey everybody, we're live, and today is October 8th, and you tune in to Nez Says, a place where musicians can come together and inspire each other to play more guitar. This is a sad day and a sad week for us all, and this is a dedication to Edward Van Halen, arguably the best guitar player and one of the best musicians of our time. This is very hard on all of us, but thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to do our best to pay tribute to an amazing musician, all the great things that he did for music and for the world. Tonight I have Anthony Sajazi, my friend Anthony Sajazi, with me. Hi, Anthony. And I have Jay Hannon, and we'll be discussing what made Edward Van Halen so amazing. Tonight with us in the chat, we have Zach Thong, we have Music Therapy Laz, David Scher, Kurt S5150, Lenny Lou, Chris Bevan, Susie Cherry, Desiree Dornan, my beautiful future wife. Ben Coombs is here.
Hey, Ben.
Thomas Santiago. Sorry, I'm scrolling a little slowly. Tim Seymour. Frank C. Will Van Han Solo. 7/8 is here.
What?
Yeah. The chat is here. Fruitcake Tony. Hello, Fruitcake. How you doing?
Our buddy Cameron Brown. I saw his name in there.
Oh, hello, Cameron. How you doing? Marky FX, Halface, Ted Sanchez, Mike is himself, Edwin Crane, Guitar Man 45, Thunder Falcon, Charlie S.
We're rocking, huh?
John
Already.
Windsor, Quentin James. Guitar Man 45, Thunder Falcon, Charlie S. Someone has something going on here. Ronnie Lee is here. Hi, Ronnie. Matthew Stewart. I'll say hello to more people. Fast Eddie, Richard Nesdall. Hey, Dad. How you doing? Charles Green. Fast Eddie VH. We'll say hello to more people as more people come on. Thank you for joining us tonight. Amy Elias is here. Fender Guru. My mom, Beverly Cooper Torres, is here. James Gum. And the rest at the moment. We'll say hello to everyone else. Hey guys, I know that this is going to be very rough and very touching, and it's a somber time for us all. But I also feel that man, Edward Van Halen, gave the world so much, and we also have to rejoice in his life. So let's start with him coming to America. How about that, Anthony? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I don't know if a lot of people saw that was I think it was a Smithsonian interview that about American immigration success stories, and I don't know how deep into the story most people's knowledge are, but you gotta the basics are that the Van Halen family came here with nothing, right? I think they had a piano and maybe less than $50 worth of money in their pockets, right?
And the clothes on their back.
Yeah, they didn't speak the language, and they weren't really welcomed, right? They were outsiders. There might have been, and I'm sure there was some issues there because Eddie was of mixed race, Indonesian mother, and not speaking English, and he's on record as saying, he didn't have a lot of friends. Mostly it was the African American kids were nice to him, right? So he had to figure out a way to fit in, and I think Alex was in the same boat with him, and that made their bond even closer, right? So you take those formative years in a strange land, learning the language, all that and having the time to devote to the craft. The reason why he's success was because he spent all the time. He put the hours in, right?
Absolutely.
And basically lived the American dream. Came here with nothing and created just a massive body of work, extremely successful, not only here but the world over. But let's face it, America is. I mean, Van Halen's arguably the best American rock band, number one, and you know that's an incredible story in and of itself.
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, I'm gonna just say maybe they're the best rock and roll band of our time, because before that you had the Beatles, and I think you can put the Beatles in that category, because I mean before that, there was really no rock and roll. There was no real form of rock and roll, or at least not the rock and roll that we know. But there's the Beatles, there's Jimi Hendrix, and then there's Eddie Van Halen and Van Halen, and I think you have to kind of tie the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix into this kind of thing, because they both changed rock and roll history. Both bands, both artists. And then there's Van Halen and Eddie Van Halen. And he changed rock and roll so much, changed music, changed the way that we read music to understand what he played. He changed guitar. He changed the way we record. He changed so many things. We're going to get into all this stuff, and we're going to celebrate what made him so great. And we're going to do that without. We're going to keep the focus on Eddie himself, and not on us individually, what he meant to us, because we all know what he meant to us individually. That doesn't need to be said. What needs to be said is what he did to be who he is and who he was.
He was the personification of a phenomenon. There was, I mean, even the artists you're talking about, like, look, the Beatles are the Beatles. You can't touch them. And Hendrix was a genius too. But like you said, it's not just the style of music. It's the physical equipment in the instrument he influenced. It's like you said,
Correct.
writing, the way music is written and explained and expressed, so that other people can learn it. The influence is you know what, we could talk all night just about that. There's plenty of material there, because he was that phenomenal and
Absolutely.
universally regarded as such too, by the way.
Absolutely. Edward Van Halen is a household name. I don't care who you are, how old you are. You know who Edward Van Halen is. You may not know the songs, but you know that if you see the red, white, and black stripes on a guitar or anything, you know that has to do with Edward Van Halen. But let's start here. Let's start with how he came up, how he started at a very young age playing piano, working in bars as a when his father would take intermissions or breaks, him and his brother would sit there and play piano and drums, or both of them would play piano, or at a super young age, and they're playing in clubs.
What were they? He was 7 when they came here.
Yes, they
Right?
started. Yes, very
They played on
young.
the boat, didn't they? They played on the boat.
Yep. on
That's
the
how they
way
paid
here.
for their ticket, I think, is they were the band that, the house band basically coming across.
Can you imagine taking a risk like that? Just, I mean, that's going all in. That's going all in.
I agree. It's the fact that him and his brother, but him, were good enough to play at such a young age and play so proficiently to be able to play live in front of an audience and be professional musicians. It's just that's not something that's easily done, and certainly everyone in the world can't do that. You have to have a certain persona. You have to have a certain mindset. You have to have natural ability. You have to have a bunch of stuff, and Edward had that. So they come to America and
Settle in Pasadena.
settle in Pasadena, and they don't speak a word of English. The kids are going to school and they're learning. They're learning as fast as they can how to speak English, how to get along with everyone, how to fit in. They have their music, and that gets them through. Alex starts on guitar and Eddie starts on drums. And we've all heard this story before. Alex starts playing Eddie's drums, and then Eddie says, "I'm going to take the guitar and start playing the guitar." So they both got very proficient at their instrument very quickly at a young age. Eddie is getting better and better, quicker, very fast.
And at the same time, or during that period of formative years, taking classical piano lessons, right, from
Correct.
very, very strict teacher, as a matter of fact, as I recall. And he was so good, Eddie, that he would not read the music. He would learn by watching and listening.
Yes, absolutely.
That's right there. It says a lot, because it was the natural talent was there. It was undeniable, but then he also put in the time. And he won competitions in his I guess what was it, his teen years? I think he won best classical pianist 2 or 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
In Pasadena.
Real quick before we go on, I just want to say that any money or funds that are generated from this video from this day forward will be donated to Eddie's charity or the family's charity. So there'll be no money made on this video. So anything that anyone wants to contribute, it will be going to the family and to Eddie's his charity.
I applaud you for that, man. That's class.
So
good
please,
thing to do.
anyone, if you have anything to donate, if you want to, again, it's not mandatory, but any money that you would normally give or that you normally give to the show, it's all going to go to Eddie's family, Eddie's favorite charity, whatever he wants to, whatever he would have given himself. So the Chad, thank you so much. Oh my God, thank you very much, the Chad. I also want to thank Fender Guru. I saw that you left something as well. I appreciate the super chats. I appreciate the everything. So it means the world to us, and it'll mean the world to the Van Halen family, because this is all going to them. So all right. So let's start with him playing guitar. The things that he's done on the guitar, even early as 1974, you listen to the very early Gene Simmons demos, and he's already pretty much got his style down. He's got very close to the signature sound. It's a little Kiss sounding, little boxy sounding, but what he did with a Marshall Plexi that no one has done before him, the sounds that he got out of that amplifier, and I know I'm jumping around because right now, I mean, I and it's like this for all of us. We're all flying by the seat of our pants right now. This is all very fresh, so I'm just trying to think straight. So forgive me if I seem like I'm bouncing around, but we'll cover everything. But the sound of that Marshall amp, I mean, the sound of the 70s, the same Marshall amp wasn't the same sound that Eddie got in 1974, starting there with the using a Variac. Who thought of that? No one thought of that. Eddie thought of that. Using a Variac to make the tubes work harder, to get more distortion out of an amplifier without using a pedal to do that. The invention of crossing a Gibson guitar with a humbucker and a Fender Stratocaster, that's probably one of the biggest inventions or things that he did was to give us that. To give the world a Stratocaster with a humbucker in it, because no one thought of that before him. The Floyd Rose. Let's just talk about the Floyd Rose tremolo, the locking tremolo. Before Eddie Van Halen, yes, the Floyd Rose was out, but it didn't have fine tuners on it. It was very hard to keep in tune. Once you got it in tune, it stayed in tune. But if it wasn't for Eddie saying, well, what if we kind of make a mechanism on here that we could tune the guitar after it's locked up top? That may never have happened. Eddie Van Halen came up along with Floyd Rose, but it was his idea to put fine tuners on the tremolo. Let's not forget the D-tuner that him and Adam Reaver, who is a good friend of all of ours, invented. How could you get your low E tuned to D without unlocking and having it perfect? Let's not forget that. The brainstorm of Adam Reaver and Eddie Van Halen. He gave us that. They gave us that. I don't have one on this guitar, but
I have one on his.
Jay has one on
There you
his
go.
guitar. The inventions, the way things are recorded these days, all started with Eddie Van Halen. I mean, things have happened before him as well, but the way we record today is largely due to Eddie Van Halen and Van Halen. You guys are gonna have to help me out here because I'm
Sure.
not only losing track, but it's just very emotional, and I'm trying to stay unemotional or as least emotional as possible. Let me say thank you to some more people for what they're giving us. Thomas Santiago, thank you so much. Lenny Lou, thank you so much. There's another one that I didn't see here. Hang on one second, people. Brendan B. Squared, thank you very much. He said, for all my favorite album, much love to the Van Halen family. You guys chime in.
Well, when you go back to the jump forward in the guitar, I mean that's a lot right there. But not even that, just the jump forward in guitar playing.
Well, yes.
And I was thinking about this earlier. I was like, I don't want to knock any other guitar player from the past, but when you listen, especially nowadays, I mean that's the thing. Whenever a new guy comes out that does something new, it's like holy crap, But I think before Eddie, if you go back and listen to any other guitar player before Eddie, now, when you go back and listen to them now, they do stuff that maybe back then was like, holy cow, what are they doing? But now you listen to it after Eddie came out and it's like, okay, it's cool, but it's not like out of this world, right? But even nowadays, Van Halen won 1978, right? You got somebody that never heard of Van Halen, and even people that do play instruments and that know Van Halen, you go back and listen to that album, 1978. You're hearing things on that record that you're like, still blows people away that are great musicians, that know how to play guitar extremely well. And they listen to whether it's in the song Eruption, whether it's I'm the One. There's so many things on that record alone that still to this day blow musicians away on how he did those things. And I don't think you can really say that about any other guitar player before Eddie. And I don't want to take anything away from anybody before him, but that's just how I feel, and that's my opinion.
I agree with you, and I'm going to go one further. The other day, it might have been yesterday, I read a comment on a post that I put on Facebook, and it was profound. It was a very good post. In the posts, I'm going to paraphrase. Eddie wasn't the most technical player. He wasn't the fastest player. But he was a pioneer, and everyone has taken from him and done what... Everyone that has gone further has started with Eddie Van Halen. It all started with him. He was the pioneer. He was the first guy to play the way he does and allow people like Steve Vai to do what he does. Allow guys like Joe Satriani to do what he does. Allows guys like
everybody,
pretty much everyone from Eddie's generation of guitar player to today.
And think about how high he raised the bar, how far ahead of everyone he was when in 1978 when that first album came out. How hard was it to be Steve Vai and have a sense of originality? Joe Satch, Kirk Hammett, all the shredders and all the guys that came after him that are amazing, and we all love them. But he made it like he came in with this toolbox of stuff, and here's all these tools he invented, and they got to take them to other places, but it was his toolbox.
And to your point as well, Anthony, is these guys have always said that he is the reason. Like when Eddie came on the scene, it was like, whoa, now what? And they all, took what he was doing, and they knew. And Steve Vai said this in an interview, like when he got the Roth gig, he said, I couldn't get out there and sound like Eddie, and he said, not that I could anyway, but I couldn't. You can't all of a sudden jump into Roth's band and have Eddie Van Halen clone. He couldn't do it. So he had to and Steve Vai he is an original, there's nothing copycat about him at all. But the fact that he kind of gives Eddie those props even back then says something. All these guys, they always talk about how Eddie was the one that really, like you said, raised that bar to certain guys before him kept okay. It was like a step. And with Eddie, it was just like, okay, now it's up here. Holy crap.
It was like a rocket launched.
Yeah.
Really quick, I want to say thank you to Music Therapy Lads. He says, thanks for doing this, Dave. I hope someday his son Wolfgang and the band can do a tribute tour. Well, I would love to see that. I'm sure we would all love to see that. Thank you, Amy, for the super sticker. Thank you, Wayne, for the super sticker. Again, thank you to everyone that's contributing. This means the world to us, and hopefully we can give back to the Van Halen family at least a little bit. I'll get to. In fact, all of us will go back and if anyone has anything that they want us to say here, we'll be happy to reiterate. If anyone has any questions, anything that you want to know that maybe you didn't know about Eddie Van Halen, maybe we can help answer it. Unfortunately, this is not going to be a show where we're going to talk about our personal things that either have, if anyone's met him or if anyone's, this is not going to be a personal thing. This is all going to be about Eddie himself. And
yeah, well, we've all talked about how we got into Van Halen and what all that stuff, but it is going to be hard not to kind of maybe say slip on a couple things. Like I know before I came on, I wanted to say something quick. I wanted to talk about just like Van Halen being one of those generational bands, going from my brother's childhood into my childhood and now my kids' childhood. They have no choice but to listen to Van Halen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And before we really, I don't want to, like you just said, Dave, I don't want to talk about, make it personal, but I have to tell this story. It's quick, and I thought it was funny.
Okay.
So last night before dinner, I put on Fair Warning, and of course, Unchained kicks in, right? So Dave's first, the whole first screeching that he does, the screams.
Yeah.
Ellie goes, "Daddy, why is he so excited?" And I thought for a split second. I looked over and said, "Because Eddie Van Halen is his guitar player."
And that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yep.
How lucky to be in that band and to look to the left and see that man playing guitar in that band.
Dave knew it.
And how lucky for not just the today's version of that band, every version of that band, including Mark Stone, who unfortunately has passed on as well.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing to I can imagine, because it's not amazing to me because I've never been in the band, but in that band. But how amazing is it to be in that band and look to the left and hear what's coming off that fretboard, and to look at the gentleman that's playing that guitar and
making it look
how about everything
and having fun.
Exactly. And the smile on his face. that is the key as well.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Eddie Van Halen play a gig or play his guitar and not have that smile that we all know? Has he ever had a smirk on his face that we could remember? The smile and the joy, and because of all the hard work that he did and the love of this guitar, whether it be Frankenstein, the 5150, any guitar that he ever played, the love and the devotion to this instrument that he had, and the smile on his face, and it's crazy how amazing it is.
It's one of the few things that you get, if you're lucky enough, you get to witness in your lifetime that's absolutely pure.
Mm-hmm.
It was pure talent. It was fearless innovation. He was not afraid to rip apart Les Pauls and expensive guitars. You see that video that they just released, MTV went into the studio.
Yeah, I saw that today.
Cello he broke. He broke. Oh, as a cello, I broke. And kind of like just accept the failure as part of the learning process.
Yeah.
When he wired the pickup in Frankie, he wasn't sure if it would even work. He didn't know how. He didn't have an electrical background, but he just dove in.
Yeah.
A lot of his innovations were found by accident or trial and error, at least.
Right. Janice Lala says, Nez says, when did the first song come out? Well, I mean, the first record actually came out in 1978.
Mm-hmm.
But those songs, most of those songs were written well before then. I would say 74, 75. There are demos that you can find of very, very early versions of a lot of the songs that were on later records that came out in 74 and 75, somewhere around there. So, and that's just to my knowledge. So there may be even some earlier stuff. But to my knowledge, that's when they first had their first demos. So I hope that answers the question.
Well, remember going back to my whole generational thing. It's great that he is still going to inspire generation after generation after generation of guitarists to pick up the guitar. I mean, no matter, like I said before, no matter who hears Eruption, it still sounds like the world's coming to an end, like in a good way. You know what I mean?
I want to go down with the ship.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that everything goes in waves. Like right now, obviously, rock and roll and heavy rock, hard rock really isn't fronting the charts. But all it takes, man, is some kid in his living room or his bedroom with a guitar, hearing that, going, "Whoa, I want to make those noises."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes all it takes is one person, and next thing you know, rock and roll is back. So I think, hopefully, I love you too, Boner Jams.
Yes, and thank you for the super chat, Boner Jams. I just want to say thank you again to someone else gave us one. David Scher, thank you so much for the super sticker. And again, there's 99 people watching us right now, and I want to thank everyone for taking the time tonight to watch and to listen to our tribute to Eddie Van Halen. And it's not just mine, Jay's, and Anthony's. It's all of ours. Everyone in the chat, everyone, thank you so much for being part of this tribute.
And look at how, inspirational and all this stuff, like the outpouring of people, my soul. I mean, I'm sure it's the same with you guys and everybody in the chat. I mean, and of course it's obvious that we all follow probably the same musicians and websites and stuff like that. But it has all been just like, you scroll down on social media the last couple of days and it's just Eddie Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen. And I mean, look at me. I my first kid, Ellie, her initials are EVH. Mm-hmm. Our second kid, Killian, his middle name's Wolfgang. It's like,
that's fantastic.
It's just the
influence permeates a lot of lives in a lot of different ways.
Yep.
big and small, right? And that's just a testament to the gifts that he gave us, and not only the music that he created, but again, the leaps forward that he forced the guitar industry to take, and the trends that he set, and just proving day in and day out that you do something with passion and joy. The music he wrote was maybe joy's not the right word, but it was positive. It was happy, writing in major keys most of the time. And I was saying to Dave a little earlier, even Fair Warning, which is a lot of the
It's
Van
dark,
Halen
but it's still
fans'
happy.
personal favorites. As dark as that was, it still made you feel like you could take on the world.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Oh, all of Van Halen's music made you feel like you could take on the world. I want to thank Desiree Dorning for the super chat. He says Ed will be missed. She says Ed will be missed. I'm sorry, she. Absolutely, he'll be missed by all of us.
Yeah.
I want to bring up something else that Eddie gave the world, which everyone wanted for the longest time. Everyone wanted his guitar. Something with stripes on it. Something that they couldn't make themselves, or if they could make themselves, maybe it wasn't. I want to thank Eddie Van Halen for the EVH Guitar Company and being able to give that gift to everyone that wants one. And everyone wants one. Everybody wants
Everybody wants
some.
one.
As funny as that sounds, it's the truth. I know a lot of fans. I know a lot of guitar players that aren't necessarily Van Halen fans that play at least a Wolfgang. Maybe it doesn't have stripes on it, but they play that guitar. And thank you to Eddie for giving it to us.
He went from wanting something that didn't exist. He created it, right? And
yes,
then
he couldn't find something that worked for him, so he
Yeah.
made something that worked for him.
I mean, that in and of itself is amazing. But then it got to the point, like you said, now all the experimentation and the licensing deals with the earlier companies and the signature guitars to his own brand, his own company. And it wasn't just limited to the striped guitar, Dave. Like you said, it doesn't have to look exactly like his. And even now, there's so many different tonal variations with the instruments that the company makes, that they're so versatile. And so you go from this pure little spring to start with to something that's so universally enjoyed by people that play various kinds of music.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the instruments are so well built that they service any style.
That's true. I want to say a special hello to Philip McKnight. He says, great episode. It is so nice to hear you guys right now as we are all dealing with this loss. And I agree with you. And Philip, thank you so much for joining us. And again, thank you everybody for joining us. I really appreciate this. It means the world to me that we can all celebrate the life of Edward Van Halen and mourn the passing of Edward Van Halen. But more than mourning, let's celebrate what he did for the world. Let's celebrate the fact that there was an Eddie Van Halen for the world to go
Enjoy.
wow, to enjoy, for everything that he has done for music and for the guitar and for recording. Just again, I can't stop reiterating, if it wasn't for that guy, music may not be the same that we hear it today. Guitar music, surely rock and roll wouldn't be the same as it is today without Eddie Van Halen.
And I don't know if you guys heard the news. I'm sure you did, but it looks like there's an article. I guess Irving Azoff said that Wolfgang and Alex are going to go through the archives and try to find, whether it's unreleased music, different things, and see if there's anything that's, that they want to release in the future. So that's kind of cool.
That's a great thing. That's really.
And I'm glad it's not one of those things you always hear it, like, a musician passes away or years after a band is finished, whether it be a record label who owns all the masters or a family that's fighting with each other. Next thing you know, it's a money grab and they're putting stuff out, re-releasing stuff that the artist didn't want out. You know, a lot of artists, they're like, hey, the music's not finished. I don't want people hearing stuff that I never finished.
Well, I know
that's why it's a good thing that Wolfgang and Alex are the ones going through, and they'll be able to say, hey, you know, this stuff is people want to hear this stuff, and you know, I'm sure that Eddie. Well, I don't want to get into speculation, but yeah, it's a good thing that I think that Wolfie and
Wolfie is an accomplished musician and a level-headed person, and pretty sarcastic too if you follow him too on social media.
Oh yeah,
it's obvious, at least I think to me, I think people would agree. He you know, not only reinvigorated Eddie, got him healthy, you know, for those recent tours, the most recent tours, and the last album with Dave, but as part of that became a full-fledged member of the band and a steward of the legacy.
Correct.
So he's not going to go in there and just.
I'm going to go farther than that.
Yeah.
Eddie Van Halen has always been the focal point of Van Halen, especially for guitar players. He's the focal point. But since Wolfgang has been in the band, not only has he taken the reins of the band, but I think he is the band leader. He, you know, if Wolfie said, "Dad, I want to do this. We should do this," Eddie did it. So I know that Wolfgang has the brand's best interest in his heart and in his head when he goes through all this stuff. He's not going to put anything else. He's not going to put anything out that is going to shame the band. And I certainly don't think he's going to do what happened to the Jimi Hendrix collection, where there's a whole bunch of stuff that was never finished, never, you know, it wasn't really the best thing, but what else do you have from Jimi Hendrix? You know, you put out anything that he's ever played because it is what it is, whether it's finished or not. But I think, well, I know this is a gentleman that watches our show, and he's a good fan. He's amazing.
Well, if he's watching the show, why is he calling interrupting?
I don't know that he's watching right now. I'm not sure if he's watching right now. I don't think so.
Hit the button.
Well, if he calls back, he calls back.
And here's the thing too. When I go back when you're talking about Dave with the whole like you know people releasing stuff that either isn't done. Remember the Michael Jackson CD that came out a couple years ago? That there was speculation that they had somebody that sounded like Michael Jackson singing on some of these songs just to basically cash in and make money. And I'm sure you don't want that type of thing to happen. I mean, it's crazy that even was like even possible with that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? On top of that, you know, Wolfie's going to be flying the flag, the Van Halen name in his career too. And he deserves every opportunity because he's not a fake. He deserves every opportunity to have his own career too. So I think he can do both.
Yeah. Mike as himself says, Dave, how about something as simple like nobody used the whammy bar like he did? Don't know anyone who used it so perfectly or extreme until he did. Now, I mean, it's been, you know, there are players now. I would say Steve Vai and Satriani, amongst others, that use the tremolo arm musically. But the first, as far as I know, is Eddie Van Halen. He's the first person to use it as a musical part of his guitar instead of just woodly woodly woo.
Yeah, and I think it was the chat earlier said that on Van Halen 1, there was no Floyd Rose on that guitar.
Yes,
and
let's
it's
talk
crazy
about that.
when you hear that. You know, you play those songs now with a Floyd Rose, it's great, but try playing it on the guitar he was playing it on with that tremolo. I mean,
you need to boil the strings and use 3-in-1 oil in the nut.
Well, let's talk about that black and white guitar for a second. As you said, no locking nut, no double locking at the tremolo itself. What he did is he used to wind the strings upward instead of downward so that there was absolutely no break point at the nut. And that helped the lubrication of the nut because, first of all, the nut slots were a lot wider than they should be. So there'd be no hanging up at the nut. He would use 3-in-1 oil on the nut. That's right. And when he used the trem, if it went out of tune, all he would do is this little jerk of the string brought the guitar back in tune, which is not a big feat. But when you're doing it in the middle of playing a song, in the middle of your next chord, just before the next chord happens, you're doing that to make sure your guitar is in tune. That is not an easy thing to do. Eddie Van Halen made it seamless. He never sounded like his guitar was out of tune.
And he
Never.
also tuned it. He had his own way of tuning it too.
Yes, correct.
Right? It wasn't. It's you play to those records, and it's not just a half step down. I think what is it? The higher strings are like a couple of cents out.
Yeah,
technically
it was. He had some strategic way of tuning it.
Well, I will say this. I spoke to Tom Weber several times. Tom Weber, if you don't know who he is Eddie's latest guitar tech. He's been with Eddie for, I think, since 2007. What he told me about Eddie's tuning is that his grip on the guitar neck was so ferocious that if the guitar was tuned normal, like with a tuner, it would be so out of tune because of his grip and the way he holds the guitar neck that he had to detune the D, A, and E string, the three low strings. Say the D string would probably be 2 or 3 cents flat, and if you don't know what cents are, it's just on the tuning peg. It's just a couple of
micro steps.
They're micro cents. They're just a couple notches. The A string would be 5 to 7 cents flat, and the E string would probably be about 10 cents flat. And if a normal guy who plays guitar normally played it like that, the guitar would sound like Rocky Horror Show. It would not be anywhere in tune. But because Eddie's grip on that neck was so hard, it's in tune when he plays it. So to do that is just incredible.
But that's what's so deceptive about that grin on his face. He didn't look like he was fighting the guitar.
No, because he played with ease, but his hands were so strong on that neck.
He definitely attacked the instrument in a good way, in a musical way. Yeah.
Exactly. He had a heavy attack, but with finesse. With finesse, and nobody, and I mean nobody, could swing like Eddie Van Halen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are. I don't care if you are technically perfect. Nobody. And I don't think anyone will ever swing the way Eddie Van Halen swung.
Well, Dave, you and I have talked about this a bunch of times, but everybody considers Eddie, an amazing, if not one of the best lead guitar players on the planet ever. But when you listen to those isolated rhythm tracks from the Guitar Hero games and the Rock Band stuff, it's so tight, but not like robot tight. Like just like you said, it has that perfect amount of swing and just something to it. Like he was locked in as a rhythm player as well, not just a lead player. And a lot of guys that are amazing lead players, they're not. And we talked about Eddie, like really just playing aggressively. And usually when you get, no, I don't want to say usually, but I know a lot of the great lead players in music that when they play rhythm, they're very light with their playing and they don't really dig in.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie is just like I said, when you listen to those rhythm tracks, those isolated rhythm tracks,
it's ferocious.
They're so good. They're so good.
It's ferocious, including the little bit not quite there. Just because the whole take was so good. If you listen to the song "Feel Your Love Tonight," the rhythm guitar part just after the guitar solo, when it's just them singing and the guitar just comes in without the rest of the band.
Mm-hmm.
There is a mistake that you can
Yep.
hear it like it was out of left field. You could hear it perfectly. And the fact that song had the vibe that it had, it don't matter that there's a mistake there, that he missed, that he clearly went 1 fret higher than he should have.
That's what makes it memorable.
It's amazing. And just I'm going to go on a limb and say that as far as I'm concerned, he's probably the best rhythm guitar player that ever was.
Yeah. I think a lot of that probably was driven by his father drumming it into his head, fill the holes, don't leave any gaps. and that, he had the solid rhythm foundation, which allowed him to noodle here and there in between. And there were, don't forget, when they first started recording, he was like freaked out by the idea of overdubbing, because he had never played over himself before. He was always filling in all the gaps in real time.
Yeah, he was like, why don't we just record like we play live?
Yeah.
Why do I have to do all the extra? What are you talking about?
Do you guys mind if I say hello to a couple more people and thank a couple more people for here? Football Legends, Logan 1984, thank you. Brian Spalding, Bo Zeke, Blackjack Guitar Nut. I've got a couple more people. Krellbar, thank you so much. Blackie, thank you so much.
Nice.
Mike as himself. Citizen Kane, it's been a long time since I've seen you. Thank you so much for coming, for spending this time with us. And when I see more people, I will thank you as well. But I want I just want to keep reiterating, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. This is such a special thing and such a heartfelt thing that you guys are all doing with us. And it means the world to all of us. Kyle Times, thank you. Papa Blue, thank you.
I think one of the hardest things, not one of the hardest things, but I think, maybe one of the hardest things about this whole thing, and I don't even know if this is right to say and to get into this, but I think, they always talk about, like, when there's a loss in like a family or friends or something, the whole shock thing. I think what's really, I think one of the hard parts about this is, whether it's, when I'm on with Johnny or when we were together, Dave, and you guys talk, everybody talks about, we always get the questions in the chat. Do you think Van Halen's going to be touring again? And from what we know now, it's true, because I guess Irving Azoff, said it today, that they were in talks with Michael Anthony about the 2019, stadium tour, the 13 dates or whatever it was going to be. So when there's always that speculation going around of, hey, are they going to be touring this year? Because we knew that, what was going on with Eddie, but we obviously didn't know how bad it was. So there was always that speculation of, hey, are they going to go on tour again? Are they going to put out another album? And then when this happens, when there's still that speculation, or not speculation, but hope that they're going to be doing something, and then this happens, and that, well, now it's not going to happen. It's like I think it's different when it's, I don't want to say expected, but like, when you hear somebody, oh, this person's, I don't even know if I should be talking about that, but it makes it, I think, even tougher to deal with when you know that that's kind of like what's happening, or what happened, I guess, is there was still that hope.
There was hope, and any Van Halen fan, any longtime Van Halen fan will attest to the roller coaster that being a Van Halen fan puts you on,
yeah.
Right? And there was always hope, and we gotta. I think this is it. For as much as social media has its issues, this community of fans coming together and kind of trying to help each other out is a testament to the love that Eddie put into the world. And Dave, you talk about things like, we could talk about guitar till we're blue in the face. We could talk about music, effects, equipment, all that stuff. But the guy put love in the world. And,
yes, he did.
And that's why we're friends. I mean, we became friends.
I understand that. We met each other.
Yeah.
I worked at Manny's. You came in as a customer, and right away we both hit it off. And that is attested to Eddie Van Halen and that band. It's amazing. It's amazing what that band and that man has done.
Yeah.
And will keep doing. Even now he's gone, he will keep doing it. He'll keep doing it as long as people can listen to a Van Halen song, a Van Halen record, as long as
it's like that
for generations
till the world
to come.
ends. Till the world ends, Van
That's
Halen will
right.
still. And it's funny that you guys talk about that. Like, you guys became friends because of this music and guitar in general. But Dave, like all the guys and gals, that I've met just from being on, with you guys and starting this whole, YouTube live streaming thing.
Crazy, yeah,
I
yes.
I have more contact, and I've never met any of you guys, but I have more contact, whether it be over the phone, through Messenger, or whatever, just because of Van Halen. I wouldn't have met any of you guys if it wasn't for Van Halen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not just that; it's the people like that watch the show, the awesome community that is involved in this. That that reach out from time to time. Hey, cool show, or hey, check out this guitar I saw on Reverb, or that's a cool guitar, and that's the great. Like you said, that kind of is a testament to the music and Eddie Van Halen.
It's because of Eddie Van Halen that we have this cool community.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. It's because of Eddie Van Halen that people go out and buy guitars.
Yep.
It's because of Eddie Van Halen that people want to get into bands and make music. At least from our generation up, it's like that.
Yeah.
Even generations before us that think that Jimi Hendrix or Eric Clapton or Jeff Beck or Jimmy Page, maybe one of those cats are their guy.
Mm-hmm.
But when they listen to Van Halen or because of Van Halen, that, I don't hear them talking about any other guy of our time but Van Halen. Yeah, maybe here or there you get the you get the guys that do love the Steve Vais and the Satrianis, and I'm one of them. But they're our generation of music. But I mean the guys before us, the generation before us, our dads, our moms, our grandparents. When my grandmother was alive, she knew what an Eddie Van Halen was. She saw a striped red, white, and black guitar and said, "Oh, that's a Van Halen guitar." She couldn't name any songs, but she knew what the hell Eddie Van Halen was. She knew what Van Halen was. Yeah. She didn't know what a Steve Vai was. She didn't know what a Metallica was. Forgive me, Jay. I don't mean to bring them up because I don't like that guy. But I'm just saying.
No,
she didn't know what my grandparents. My mom don't even know what Metallica is. But my mom sure as hell knows what a Van Halen is.
You have to show her what Metallica is.
Excuse me. I'm getting choked up. I'm sorry.
No, hey, listen. We're all holding back in one form or another, and the shock is far from over.
Well, yeah. Dave, I think I told you this, but I usually don't get all tied up and emotional with like celebrities and musicians and sports people and all that stuff.
And
but like Eddie Van Halen has been a part of my life since childhood, and just it really kind of hit me. Obviously the whole shock thing or whatever, but it really hit me once I started seeing like Wolfgang. When I saw Wolfgang's post, obviously that was like in shock about it. When I saw Valerie's post, I got all choked up, and then I started, Ellie came in and we started to talk about stuff, and then I started thinking about like that relationship and like Eddie with Wolfgang and that whole thing, and I kind of like, that's when it kind of hit me. I was like, man, it's it sucks. It really does. And it's really all there is to say about it. Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything that they want to add as well? We're going to be here for a little while longer. Probably be here for another half hour. So,
I'm going to have to split in a couple.
I understand, Jay. I know you have a family, and you both have family, and I appreciate you both being here for as long as you are.
Thanks for having us, man.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Anybody, all three of us, let's just read what's going on in here and see. All right, Ron Pio has a question. He says, "Thanks for doing his question. With all due respect, have any of you guys ever pondered what the situation would be like before Tuesday? And if so, How does it compare with reality?
What?
Well, I think let me finish. Let me start by saying that I don't think anyone, including the family, thought that it was gonna. I mean, let's face it, and I don't want to say anything negative, but you have to say he has had cancer for quite a long time. He has beat it. He's gone in remission or either beat it, but it has come back, and everyone in the family knew that it was going to be there, but I don't think even the family members thought that the end was coming this soon. So I think we all thought that, like everyone has been thinking, maybe it'll be a Van Halen reunion, maybe it'll be another record. You know, I think he's strong enough. We all think he's strong enough. He's going to beat it again. He's going to beat this thing. He's going to, he's going to bounce back.
Yeah.
And then reality set in, and I'll say one thing, and I didn't want to say this. I was at Guitar Center when I found the news, and I was about to buy a guitar. I was going to buy a guitar, and I had to walk out. I just couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with the fact that who am I to do what I wanted to do when this big thing came out. So and that's all I'll say about that. Again, it was a shock to everybody. It was a shock.
And a shot.
And a shot. And a shot to everyone's hearts and minds. And again, with that being said, let's celebrate what he has given the world. Let's celebrate the fact that he's looking down right now and saying, I'm okay. I'm not in pain. Enjoy everything I've done for you. And celebrate me. Celebrate the music. More than celebrate me. Celebrate the music. There's a video. There's a video that's been out quite a while. A few years at least. And it's a little 10-second blurb. And he says, keep playing, man. Don't stop. Don't stop playing. Just you keep playing or I'm going to come find you. Just keep that in mind. You got to keep playing. If you play an instrument, if you sing, if you do anything that has to do, if you play football, if you play baseball, if you're an artist, if you draw, if your day job brings you that much pleasure, keep doing it.
Yeah.
That is the best thing that I could reiterate from him up there. Keep doing it. Whatever it is you love to do, keep doing it.
Yeah.
And don't let something like this stop you.
Yeah, the last thing he'd want you to do is not buy a guitar and not play guitar. I know for a lot of us, it was, on that night I came upstairs and I was going to play and I got up here and I didn't pick up a guitar. It was weird. It was a weird feeling. But I was going to say something, man. I lost it. I lost it.
It's an emotional time, Jay. So it's not surprising, right? I mean, I got a whole bunch of stuff in my head that I
know.
Right?
Well,
we're all collectively, as much as we love him and loved him, it's that's what makes the loss so great. That's what makes grieving. He's worth grieving. It's like what Paul McCartney says at the end of the Abbey Road. In the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. Mm-hmm. He put a lot of that into the world, so it's a whole the size of the Grand Canyon that we got to try and fill.
That's right.
And I think as a musician and songwriter, you never realize what your music means to other people. I know you get it after a while, but you don't get that like when somebody. There's a lot of people that say, hey, your music, whether this song or that song, literally saved my life. You know what I mean? That's happened to so many people, and every song means something to somebody else. And I think as a musician, you don't, I guess you get it, but you don't get that feeling. And I think,
you can't predict when you're going to do something great. And let's talk. All right, so this is
Or even if you're going to do something great at all.
Eddie often said, "Where do ideas come from?" I don't know, and I'm not saying I don't know. He would say he didn't know where they came from. The inspiration would just come.
Yeah, he'd be on the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saw that today. Lenny Lou, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm going to put this up here because she actually. Mary's adding up for unlawful carnal knowledge and OU812 for donation. Ed's gift saved Lenny's life. Ma,
See?
really?
See, look at that.
There's also another one here. Give me 1 second. Danny Alexander, thank you so much for the super chat. Again, everyone, thank you so much. I'm going to put this up. This is not for me. This is not for the show. This is all going to go for donation. If you don't want to do a super chat, you can PayPal or Venmo me at dnrwb5150@aol.com. And all the money that gets put in my PayPal account will go to Eddie's charity or the family's charity. We're in the midst of finding that out right now by the family and by people that are very close to the family. So everything that happens on this show from this day forward, any revenue from this show, from today forward, will be donated to Eddie's charity.
Dave, I want to thank you for allowing me to come on here and kind of, I'm a type of person that, I hold a lot of stuff in when something's bugging me, but coming on here kind of helped. I'm not going to lie. It did, to talk about it and kind of, get some feelings out and stuff like that. But before I go, I just want to say there was a funny, speaking of social media, on Twitter, there's a handle. It's literally God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the day Eddie passed away, a few hours later, God tweeted,
Yeah.
"It just got loud up here, but a good loud."
That's funny.
And I saw that, and it just, it brought a smile and a it when I read that, I was like, yep.
There's another meme I saw today that I thought was very cute. It was, I don't think it was God, but I think it was, I apologize, but who's at the Golden Gates?
St. Peter?
St. Peter at the Golden Gates. And there's a guy playing the harp. And he's the guy that is up in heaven, plays the harp. And then there's Eddie Van Halen with his red guitar, with his wings. And St. Peter says to the guy playing harp, "I'm going to have to let you go. The new guy's just that good." I thought that was very cute.
That's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the legacy, that's the thing too, is the way what the music means to so many of us, millions and millions of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To leave a legacy like that is just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, and like we talk about the generation after, until this world comes to an end, Eddie Van Halen's music and Van Halen's music in general will,
Yeah, bring generations and generations pleasure. And
Just like Mozart and Beethoven.
yeah, he is the modern day Mozart.
Part of Mozart, part of Les Paul with the experimentation and invention, put that together, and some of the best songwriting ability. That's the other thing too. I mean, all of this
songwriting.
stuff
Yeah.
wouldn't have transcended out of his bedroom if he didn't know how to write so well. That's
He literally is the full package. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously guitar playing, lead playing, rhythm playing, songwriting ability, not overplaying. There's so many solos where he could have just shredded.
Oh, of course.
It's all about the song.
Right here, right now is the first one that comes to mind. There's no tapping in that.
Great-
There's no.
great solo.
All it is just this beautiful blues solo in that song.
Yeah.
And then there's
Thank you so much to Ronnie Lee for the super chat. Thank you so much to Bo Zeke for the super chat. Thank you, everybody.
And not only that, I mean, he had it. You know, when they talk about it, he had the look, he had the personality, he had the name, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, there's not a cooler guitar player name than Eddie Van Halen. It's it.
It really is. It's so funny, and it's just so. You're right. You're right. It's 3 words that are the coolest. Some of the coolest 3 words ever that you can say in a row.
every time you hear him, you smile.
Yeah. Caleb Rappaport, I want to say hello to Caleb. Thank you for joining us, Caleb.
Caleb with the greatest photo at the Met that anyone ever took.
Oh, the video of him jumping?
And he took a still frame of that.
Yeah.
Caleb, I've told you this before on social media. Now I'm telling you now. Amazing, man. Caleb for the win.
Yeah. Awesome stuff.
So, well, guys, thanks for having me on, Dave. I really appreciate it, man. And everybody in the chat,
thank you so much.
Great seeing everybody. And, you know.
Mm-hmm. Caleb also says that Eddie is probably the best live performer that ever was as well. I agree. He not only is he amazing on the ears, but he was amazing to watch on stage.
Oh, yeah.
It was incredible. I mean, how fortunate those of us who got to see the last 2 tours. He was, he was as much on top of his game then as what you could quote unquote argue his prime. He was amazing. He was amazing every night. It was incredible. That's talk about a gift, Dave.
Yeah.
Like he didn't go out with a whimper. He went out on top.
Right. Blackjack Guitar Nut, I do see your question. I really don't want to make this video about me at all. So I will talk about my thumb another time.
All right, everybody.
Jay, thank you for joining us. Say hello to everyone at home.
I will.
And I'm sure I'll call you tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow.
Okay. Everybody, good night. Van Halen kicks ass. Good night.
Forever.
Good night. Awesome. Give me 1 second. Anthony, do you... Oh, very cool. Mike, our friend Mike Neese just sent me a photo. I'm not sure if he wants me to share it, but it was very cool.
Dave, we spent a bit of time talking about equipment and innovation and things, but really that was all relegated to the early years. What about the later years, even, the Sammy era, the wet, dry, wet rig that he...
Yes, let's talk about that. That actually started... I want to say that started in 1982 with Diver Down.
That early.
Yes, I'm almost positive that the Chorusy 3-cabinet, dry center cabinet, 2 affected wet cabinets, I think that started in 1982. I don't know. Well, I honestly don't know if Eddie came first with that or Steve Lukather did, but the sound that produced, especially with Eddie's fingers, Eddie's guitar, Eddie's head, Eddie's amplifier, was amazing. To this day, still is amazing.
It really is. I don't know if people understand, but let's just put it this way: it's like if his guitar amp before that was 1 paintbrush, it was like having 3 thick paintbrushes worth of sound, right?
And not only that, but let's talk about how every record and every tour, his sound changed. He wanted to sound better than he did on the previous record or on the previous tour. He always strived to sound better.
100%. And if you listen closely, you'll see the nuance. You'll hear the nuances between the albums, and you can pinpoint watermarks where when he was using the octave, for example, on Fair Warning or whatever. The constant experimentation, it kept you interested. It's like if you don't just, it wasn't the era of singles, right? You would buy an album and listen and get taken through that experience. That's what Van Halen, their whole career was about, right? And even those shorter, earlier albums that were half an hour long, it's like it's like the greatest roller coaster ride you've ever been on.
Yeah.
And you're right. Part of the innovation and the experimentation was never repeating himself.
Yeah.
He always took it to a different place. And by and large, I mean, it always ended up someplace fantastic.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, even the last 2.5 tours. I want to, you know what? I want to say from 2007 to 2015, which was the new regime with Dave. His tone changed every time you heard it. Every time it was great. It was different. Some people may not like some of the very, very new stuff, but the fact that he was done with the sound from the tour before, he needed to change it again. He needed to change things up. His EVH 5153 amp has 3 iterations. Has the regular one, which you could get in black or white Tolex. Then it had the stealth version, which had upgrades to it and resonance controls and more gain. And then an EL34 version of it. The things that he thought about to try to refine that head, and did refine that head. I mean, any one of those you choose is a good choice. Good head, good sounding amplifier, no matter what. But the fact that he took something that was made, I want to say in 2004 is when he had the first couple of prototypes of that amp, maybe 2005, around there, and to improve on it when it already was perfect.
And his method of doing it had a lot of integrity. He wouldn't put something out unless he road tested it. Right?
Correct.
Didn't he leave his prototype heads on for one?
I think it was a month. I think they would be on with the guitar on and the volume on,
Yeah.
to see when it would blow up.
Yeah.
And he'd come back a month later and still have it howling.
There was a story I remember him talking in an interview where he was with Peavy at the time, and he claimed that the guitar should ship in tune, and they're like, that can't be done. And he's like, oh yeah, he took a guitar apart in front of everybody, reassembled it, and threw it across the room, picked it up, and it was in tune. The stuff of that stuff might be a little bit of legend, but I believe wholeheartedly that
you have to believe for the most part that that's what happened.
He put things through their paces.
Absolutely, he would make sure it's perfect for the time. Because of course, I mean, I'm sure there was something that they could do to improve the newest USA Wolfgang 2. They can find an improve. I'm sure, even if it's the most minuscule thing. But right now, right here and right now, that iteration of the Van Halen guitar is probably the most perfect version of all the versions.
It's a fine-tuned Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the signature models and they're all amazing guitars. Like in and of themselves, they're just phenomenal. But
right. I'm just talking about building construction. I'm not, because I mean, a lot of people are going to give me flack. No, the Music Man is the best. No, this. But right now, the build construction, and in the video, Eddie and Chip Ellis and Matt Bruck did a video. We've all seen it. Yeah. And if you haven't, go watch it on YouTube. They did all the work for us on that guitar. They made it so nothing needs to be changed on it. Well, mostly nothing. I mean, I'm not going to say what my personal thing is about that guitar, but for the most part, 99% of that guitar is absolutely perfect. And really, to the regular guitar player, the guy who's not out on that road 24/7 and beating the crap out of it, that guitar is absolutely perfect.
Easy to play, sounds amazing, very consistent from one to the next. For a mass-produced guitar, graphite inserts in the neck, stainless steel frets, all those little things that he fine-tuned over the years. Just it's a gift to us because it makes you want to play. It makes you enjoy it. more. It's not like you're not buying a piece of junk that's impossible to keep in tune.
Right. I agree. I agree. I apologize. You probably were missing that little part of my head that was cut off by the top, so I just fixed it. What else is there to say? Honestly, I mean,
How about,
we can.
Dave? We were talking before. I don't think we really got into it, but Jay did bring up Michael Jackson. Now everybody knows that Eddie played the solo on "Beat It," but what not everybody what people may not realize was how that brought people together. Like
Mm-hmm,
white kids that would never have bought a Michael Jackson record bought
mm-hmm.
that record because Eddie played on it, and the respect and exposure and the dialogue that came out of that,
Yeah.
it brought people together. That's phenomenal. You can't overstate what that was, and it
Well,
kept them out of number one too.
and also the fact. I mean, the song "Beat It" is a rock song. I don't care what you say. Steve Lukather is a genius. He basically did all the music on that song and most of that record. But what Eddie Van Halen did on that solo crossed hard rock and pop together,
Absolutely.
made it one, made it so that guys that are heavy metal and hard rock heads to appreciate pop music or some pop music, and made the people that love pop music, they all went like this. Huh, Eddie Van Halen, this rock guitar player, is on this pop song. That's got to be cool as hell. That is cool as hell.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the first time that's happened. I can't think of another time that's happened.
I think
Before that, I
not
mean.
before that, right?
Yes.
But, you look at a lot of people might point to Run DMC and Aerosmith, but that happened after.
Yes, it did. Right. That
know what I
happened in
mean?
'84, I believe. And the Beat It was recorded in '82.
Yeah, and it was so popular, it kept Michael Jackson's album in number one. That 1984, the album never hit number one.
How about the fact that the respect that Michael Jackson has for Eddie, that Eddie didn't want to record the solo over the part that Michael had. He rewrote the parts to solo over, and Michael Jackson kept it.
Mm-hmm.
How about the respect that Michael Jackson, who is, I don't care what you think of him as a human being,
No, it's not about that.
as a musician and as a pop star and as a genius music maker, he gave Eddie Van Halen the respect of switching his song around so that he could record the solo where he wanted to.
And he delivered.
Yes.
He really did. That's it's legendary.
Mm-hmm.
But you talk about just liking music. That had positive social impact, whether or not you like the song. You know what I mean? It's just those are. That's like who would have thought that some, as he used to say, some punk kid who plays guitar could have that kind of impact on people.
Absolutely right.
That's a beautiful thing. There's not enough of that these days. It's too much division. That was about bringing people together.
I have to agree with you. We're going to stay on for a couple more minutes here and reminisce on Eddie and talk about his greatness and what he's done for the world and what he's done for music and what he's done for.
Caleb's got it. Yeah, thank you, Quincy Jones. That's right. Thank
Yeah.
you, Quincy Jones, for calling back, because Eddie hung up on him when he initially called him. Thought it was a prank call.
Yeah, that's for sure. Real quick, I want to thank Anthony Sajazi for joining me tonight. I want to thank Jay Hannon because he really couldn't stay as long as he did, and I appreciate that. And I want to thank everybody in the chat for being here and for delivering on this tribute to Edward Van Halen. I want to thank everyone in the world who has listened to a Van Halen song, who has drawn the VH on their notebook binders in high school, in junior high. I want to especially thank my friend from junior high until today, I just spoke to him yesterday, my friend Ben Zeitlin, for turning me on to Van Halen and allowing me to enjoy everything that that guy has given all of us. I'm not even going to bring up our sponsors tonight because I don't want this to be about anyone but Eddie Van Halen. So, our sponsors, please forgive me for this. I'm sure you will. Anything that you guys and girls want to contribute from now on, and just if you decide you want to contribute money to the cause after tonight's show, please use my PayPal account. Please don't be afraid. Everything, it just when and if you do PayPal, in the memo, just write tribute to Eddie Van Halen, so I know to send that money to Eddie's charity. And I promise that that this show will never put a dime in my pocket. It'll all go to the cause. It'll all go to the Van Halen family. It'll go to Eddie's charity. It'll come to good use that way. I appreciate everyone here, and God bless Eddie Van Halen.
Let me echo that. Dave. God bless Eddie Van Halen, and thank you for doing the show. And I think doing the donation the way that you plan to is a very honorable thing, and that's in the spirit of Eddie as a human being, because he was a very generous guy.
He certainly was. He certainly was. I think we're going to leave it there for now. We can revisit this another time and talk some more. I mean, we can talk any time about Eddie and every time about Eddie. But again, thanks for being with us tonight. We're going to leave it right there, and we'll say goodnight with this.